To the show Moon Knight. This is one of the new MCU Disney Plus Phase 4 TV shows. When you look at all the other TV shows, there's a clear connection there to the rest of the franchise. I mean, when you look at Loki, well, Loki comes from the movies, plus you have Kane in there, so there's a connection to Ant-Man the Wasp Quantumania. When you look at the Hawkeye TV show, well, it's dealing with one of the original 6 Avengers. We see the Battle of New York in the show for a bit. You have Kingpin, which connects this show to Echo. When you look at Echo, it's about one of the characters from Hawkeye. When you look at WandaVision, well, it's about Wanda, Vision. There's some other characters that show up as well. And then you look at Miss Marvel. I mean, there's literally an Avengers Con event in the show. So again, clear connection to the rest of the franchise. But when you look at Moon Knight, there's very few references to the rest of the franchise in there. And what few references there are pretty unimportant. I mean, you see a location in there that showed up in one of the other Disney Plus shows. I think that location is Budapest, if I'm remembering right. That doesn't mean much. And yeah, if you look closely, you see books that are like about Asgard, other things like that, which relate to the rest of the franchise. But again, that's a pretty minor thing. And yeah, you have the Hippo God mention Wakanda, but that's the extent of the references. There's no characters from the rest of the MCU in this show. So far, it doesn't appear like anything that happened in this show matters for the rest of the franchise whatsoever. Just seems like, oh, there's this whole other thing that happened that didn't end up mattering at all. Didn't end up making a bit of difference. I mean, there's literally a kaiju fight at the end of the show between two gods, and you have people getting their souls sucked out. It's like, if this really happened in the MCU, people will be talking about it, but that hasn't happened. I mean, nothing from this show has been referenced in the other Disney Plus shows or movies whatsoever. So when you combine that with the fact that there's no characters from the rest of the franchise in here whatsoever, and we haven't seen Moon Knight since this show, plus we don't even know when we're going to see Moon Knight again. For right now, when I look at this show, it's like, okay, on paper, this is in the MCU, quote unquote, but in reality, I don't personally think this show is canon. I don't personally right now think this show is in the MCU because there's so little connection between Moon Knight, unlike all the other Disney Plus shows, where it's like, okay, there's a clear way in which they connect to the rest of the franchise. What If also clearly connects to the rest of the MCU because of the multiverse, the familiar characters we see, but there's nothing like that here. So as of right now, until something from the show is actually referenced or we see any of these characters again, I don't personally consider Moon Knight to be canon.